Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of Be Undisturbed. Hi, everyone. My name is Brady Mertens. I am your host for today. Licensed therapist in the state of Ohio, enjoying a cigar out here on this fine 5th of November. Remember. So, um, where did we leave off last time? So, we finished with our book, The Manual, by our dude Epictetus. And I decided not to read through the Enchiridion, which is a less up-to-date translate. I mean, it's an up-to-date translation, but the verbiage and such is like straight from either the Greek or the Latin that it was originally in. So we're not going to do that today. One of the things we are going to do is look at the philosophy of Epictetus in his book, as I have printed from Dover Thrift Edition. He's a pretty stoic-looking dude. Look, his arm is swole. Which, I mean, realistically, his arm probably would have been pretty hefty because as you saw that crutch there, he was crippled. And, well, not crippled, I guess he was lame in one leg during his whole uh, being a slave to the Romans kind of thing. So, let's crack this boy open and see what it's got for us. Oh, this just jumps straight into it. Number 1. I guess before I start, feel free to hop in the Discord. Hey, I'm not in the Discord. I need to fix that. Doop doop boo doo doo. Okay. Cool. So, feel free to drop into the Discord. Actually, let's see if I can get Spotify up here and we can get some dope tunes going behind here. At a nice quiet tone, obviously. Found this one album that I like. Stay out of that. Just trying to drink my water. Okay. So we are going to play, what's that album? It's by Caspo. I have to find where it is. It was some nice instrumental stuff. The Making of a Paracosm by Casbo, released 2020. I think it was actually just released last week or something. So let's turn our volume down so it doesn't overwhelm you guys. Awesome. So, are these the only works of providence in us? What words suffice to praise or set them forth? Had we but understanding, should we ever cease hymning and blessing the divine power both openly and in secret, and telling of his gracious gifts? Whether digging or plowing or eating, should we not sing the hymn to God? Great is God, for that he has given us such instruments to till the ground withal. Great is God, for that he hath given us hands, and the power of swallowing and digesting, of unconsciously growing and breathing while we sleep. This should we ever have sung, yea, and this the grandest, divinest hymn of all. Great is God, that he hath given us a mind to apprehend these things, and duly to use them. What then, seeing that most of you are blinded? Should there not be someone to fill this place and sing the hymn to God on behalf of all men? What else can I, that I am old and lame, do but sing to God? Were I a nightingale, I should do after the manner of a nightingale. Were I a swan, I should do after the manner of a swan. But now, since I am a reasonable being, I must sing to God. That is my work. I do it, nor will I desert this my post, as long as it is granted me to hold it. and upon you too I call to join in this self-same hymn. 2. How then do men act? As though one returning to his country, who had sojourned for the night in a fair inn, should be so captivated thereby as to take up his abode there? Friend, thou hast forgotten thine intention. This is not thy destination, but only lay on the way thither. Nay, but it is a proper place. And how many more of the sort there be, only to pass upon thy way? Thy purpose was to return to thy country, to relieve thy kinsmen's fears for thee, thyself to discharge the duties of a citizen, to marry a wife, to beget offspring, and to fill the appointed round of office. Thou didst not come to choose out what places are most pleasant, but rather to return to that wherein thou wast born, and where thou wert appointed to be a citizen. Side note, this Old English is going to trip me up. I might actually end up doing an impromptu rendition of it myself. So, heads up. Number 3. I like this one. It's simple. Try to enjoy the great festival of life with other men, women, children, family, etc. I added that in. I'm going to have fun with this. Number 4. But I have one whom I must please, to whom I must be subject, whom I must obey, God, and those who come next to him. He has entrusted myself to myself. He has made my will subject to me alone and given me rules for the right use thereof. On a side note, as we were reading the manual, he refers to God as the author, the one who kind of like designed everything. Doesn't necessarily have to be like your Judeo-Christian God. But I think back then, I think it was mainly just referring it to as the divine, the one who put everything in motion. I don't remember if he subscribed to the pantheon of either Greek or Roman gods, or if he had kind of his own perception there and otherwise. Number 5. Rufus used to say, if you have leisure to praise me, what I say is meaningless. In truth, he spoke wisely. I just got pecked by a chicken. That each of us who sat there thought that someone had accused him to Rufus. So surely did he lay a finger on the very deeds we did. So surely display the thought of each before his very eyes. I don't know, that one's... Let's pick that one apart because I'm having trouble understanding it. So Rufus is some dude. If you have leisure to praise me, what I say is naught. So what I say is meaningless. Truly he spoke wisely. Each of us who sat there thought that someone had accused him. Who is him? To Rufus. I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to that one. If anyone has any thoughts on that, feel free to leave a comment. That's number 5 of the philosophy of Epictetus. Number 6. But what said God? Had it been possible, Epictetus, I would have made both that body of yours and your possessions free and unimpeded, but as it is, be not deceived. It is not your own. It is but finely tempered clay. Since then I could not do this, I have given you a portion of myself, in the power of desiring and declining, and of pursuing and avoiding, and in a word of power of dealing with the things of sense. And if you neglected not this, but place all that you have therein, you shall never be hindered, you shall never be lame, you shall never blame or flatter any. What then seems to be of such little things? We say, God forbid. Instead say, let's be content therein. And so I praise the gods. That one's actually a rendition of one of the things in the Enchiridion. I got ash on my shirt. That's what I get for not paying attention. Number 7. What says Antisthenes? Have you never heard? It is a kingly thing, O Cyrus, to do well and to be evil spoken of. So it's better to do good things than to worry about the things that are being said of us. Oh, birdie's chasing a moth. That moth just flew over my head. Number 8. Yes, but to debase myself thus is unworthy of me. That, says Epictetus, is for you to consider, not me. You know yourself what you are worth in your own eyes, and at what price you will sell yourself. For men sell themselves at various prices. This was why, when Florus was deliberating whether he should appear at Nero's shows, taking part in the performance himself, Agrippinus replied, "Appear by all means." And when Florus inquired, "But why do you not appear?" he answered, "Because I don't even consider the question." For the man who has once stooped to consider such questions and to reckon up the value of external things is not far from forgetting the manner of what man he is. Why? What is it that you ask me? Is death preferable or life? I reply life. Pain or pleasure? I reply pleasure. But if I do not act, I shall lose my head. Next page. Then go and act. But for my part, I will not act. Why? Because you think yourself but one among the many threads which make up the texture of the doublet. You should aim at being like men in general, just as your thread has no ambitions either to be anything distinguished compared with the other threads. But I desire to be the purple, the small and shining part which makes the rest seem fair and beautiful. Why then do you bid me become even as the multitude? Then were I no longer purple. So through his works, he's got this vibe of like, be what you are. Don't try to be what you're not. If I am purple, I am purple. Don't ask me to be something else. You can't ask me, that's up to you. But for myself, I'm going to continue being the purple thread, as that is what I have always been. And if I cannot be something different, why bother myself with that? Digging the vibes too. Number 9. If a man could be thoroughly penetrated as he ought with this thought, that we are all in an especial manner sprung from God, and that God is the Father of men as well as of gods, full surely he would never conceive aught ignoble or base of himself. Whereas if Caesar were to adopt you, your haughty looks would be intolerable. Will you not be elated at knowing you are the Son of God? Now, however, it is not so with us. But seeing that in our birth these two things are commingled, that the body which we share with the animals and the reason and thought that we share with the gods, many decline towards this unhappy kinship with the dead. Few rise to the kinship with the divine. Since then every one must deal with each thing according to the view with which he forms about it, those few who hold that they are born in fidelity, modesty, and unerring sureness in dealing with the things of sense, never conceding aught base or ignoble of themselves, but the multitude the contrary. Why, what am I, a wretched human creature, with this miserable flesh of mine? Miserable indeed! But you have something better than paltry flesh of yours. Why cling to the one and neglect the other? So, Epictetus was here, I'll read number 10 real quick. You are but a poor laden soul with a lifeless body. So I'm going to put this away for a moment while I yammer on. So, I'm trying to think about when Epictetus was around. He was around in, if I remember right, the late 1st century, early 2nd century. So if we're comparing this to some biblical exegetical stuff, Jesus was born around sometime BC AD, died roughly around 33 AD, at least as far as the books go. The books were off a little bit by a few years. So by the time Epictetus was writing his stuff, he had probably been exposed to some concepts within Christianity. I would imagine he's even had some influence, or vice versa, with St. Paul. So they were contemporaries, doing their thing at the same time. I think that would have been around the time that St. Paul was running around the Mediterranean, writing his letters to all the different churches. That would have been around the time. Let's see, Peter would have been. Oh, I don't know. How long was Peter Pope? Um, I don't know. That would have been a. Man, it's been a while since I've remembered the first popes. So I bring this up because I'm catching. I mean, you're probably catching too this Son of God vibe. Like, I thought that was the Bible. It is the Bible. Um, so why is this philosopher talking about it? If you're following some of the Socratic thought, Socrates came before Epictetus. Um, Socrates, if I'm remembering right, believed that we all had like a common thread, a tapping into of the true form of like perfect things. And then, Jesus came along, said, like, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect before you, etc. So we could almost take St. Anselm's, granted he was like 1200 AD, ontological argument that God is that than which nothing greater can be conceived. So this thing from which Zeus came from, which if you watch Supernatural, it's kind of funny how they integrate everything. That even all the gods are on playing field with angels and demons and lowly humans. Um, so they all were begot from this one creator. Whoever that creator be, that can be up to you and your own religion. As he's referring them to it, like, we are so he believed we are to some extent a mirror of this divinity. If you're following the Judaic tradition, which definitely was around, and Epictetus is most definitely probably influenced by. Actually, yeah, because even like back in like the books of Isaiah and the other prophets, there was reference to the Son of God, Son of Man kind of mentality. So he most definitely had some of that exposure. Um, hmm. So he's got this. Yeah, he's got this weird like early theologian vibe to him, which I kind of like because that's up my alley. Um, and I think it's interesting he points out that dualism. Like, we could say, like, Old Testament, we are lowly earth, dust, worms, whatever. And as of that, we don't really deserve much. But we're also created in the image of the divine, so because of that, we deserve everything the divine wants us to have. Um, there's what is it? The greatest sin is like denying the gifts of the spirit or something along that lines. Um, which I'm trying to remember that. It's been a while since I've read through that one. If I'm applying that as I understand it, like, to deny the graces which God is willingly giving us. Pretty big, like, big old screw you. Um, there was some other thread to that, so don't quote me on it. Um, next time it comes to mind, I'll bring that back up. So, with that, let's read a few more of these. Take a big puff. Number 11. The other day, I had an iron lamp placed beside my household gods. So I guess he does have some pagan there. I heard a noise at the door and, on hastening down, found my lamp carried off. I reflected that the culprit was in no very strange case. Tomorrow, my friend, I said, you will find an earthenware lamp, for a man can only lose what he has. So it's like it's an object. If I'm worried about losing it, maybe I shouldn't have something so expensive. Number 11. The reason why I lost my lamp was that the thief was superior to me in vigilance. He paid, however, this price for the lamp, that in exchange for it, he consented to become a thief. in exchange for it to become faithless. Number 13. But God had introduced man to be a spectator of himself and his works. Not a spectator only, but also an interpreter of them. Wherefore is it a shame for man to begin and to leave off where the brutes do. Rather, he should begin there and leave off where nature leaves off in us. And that is at contemplation and understanding and in a manner of life that is in harmony with herself. See then that you do not begin, or you do not, without being See then that you die not without being spectators of these things. 14. You journey to Olympia to see the works of Phidias, and each of you holds it a misfortune not to have beheld these things before you die. Whereas when there is no need to even take the journey, but you are on the spot with the works before you, have you no care to contemplate and study these? Will you not then perceive either who you are or unto what end you were born, for what purpose the powers of contemplation has bestowed upon you? That one reminds me of, so I went to undergrad at Ohio Dominican, majored in philosophy, started with a double major, or actually I started with a major in studio art, trying to concentrate in photography. See how well that turned out. The reasoning for it being, I got bored. I was not getting praise, which I'm sure I know Epictetus has something to say about that. So then I decided to go on to psychology. Everyone thought I was a philosophy major. Can you blame them? But then, like, my mom's done youth ministry since I was like 5. So I was like, maybe I can do that too. It doesn't take a lot. And then me and my boy Josh, Agvo Daddy there in the screen, if you can see. Let's see if I can point to him. There he is, right there. So we were like literally the only 2 youth ministry majors at Ohio Dominican. And after Josh graduated, they ended up scrubbing it all together. I ended up dropping it and going for philosophy. Theology. I don't remember why. And then theology, if you've never looked at it, is a buttload of reading. So I decided, no, that's too much. It's making my psych grade drop. And then I had enough credits just for a minor in theology, so I did that. But the motto was, I can't remember what it was in Latin, but it was to contemplate truth and to share the fruits of these contemplation. Which sounds pretty similar to that, you know. Where did that go? Oh, I didn't read the rest of it. Okay. Well, but in life there are some things disagreeable and hard to bear. And are there none at Olympia? Are you not scorched by the heat? Are you not cramped for room? Have you not to bathe in discomfort? Are you not drenched when it rains? Have you not to endure this clamor and shouting and such annoyances as these? Well, I suppose you set all this over against the splendor of the spectacle and bear it patiently. Have you not received powers wherewith to endure all that comes to pass? Have you not received greatness of heart, received courage, received fortitude? What care I if I am great of heart for aught that can come to pass? What shall cast me down or disturb me? What shall seem painful? Shall I not use the power to the end for which I received it, instead of moaning and wailing over what comes to pass? He's calling us out on our BS. So, if you can stand in a line for 12 or 24 or 48 hours to register, not just get, but register for a pre-order for the new Xbox, he's calling you weak for saying that you cannot endure other things, and a liar that you cannot endure other things or I'm calling you weak and a liar. Because if you can endure that, you can endure waiting in line for an hour or 3 to go vote. You can endure waiting in line at the doctor. You can endure waiting in line at the grocery store. It's going to take 10 minutes for that old lady in front of you with the cart full of everything to get it all up there on the conveyor belt. to get her checkbook out, and you're like, who uses checks anymore? And you're sitting there, oh my God, oh, I should have went to that other line. Oh. Epictetus is saying, dude, you're willing to wait for an Xbox that you totally don't need? You can wait for your groceries. It's simple as that. So he does kind of call us out on our stuff. So we're hitting about 25 minutes now, and it looks like I don't have anyone watching, which kind of makes me sad, but that's okay. I'm doing this for me, so I actually read through all these. And if I happen to share wisdom with you guys along the way, awesome. Yeah. Whoa! The chickens got spooked. The wind blew and it moved the box they were all standing by, and they all like jumped. And now the dog's after them. So, where did I get here? Let's read through the end of this right here. We'll get up to page 8. Number 15. What if philosophers say if the kinship of God and men be true? What remains for men to do but as Socrates did? Never when asked one's country to answer, I am an Athenian or a Corinthian, but I am a citizen of the world. 16. He hath... Oh, you know what sucks? Y'all haven't heard the music because I haven't had my desktop audio on. Oh well, that's okay. No copyright crap for YouTube, right? Leia! She's chasing my chickens. I will fix that next time. 16. He who grasps that the administration of the world, who has learned from this community, that consists of God and men, is the foremost and mightiest and most comprehensive of all. That God has descended the germs of life, not to my father only and father's father, but to all things that are born and grow upon the earth, and in an especial manner to those endowed with reason, for those are only by their nature fitted to hold communion with God, beings by means of reason conjoined with him. Why should not such a person call himself a citizen of the world? Why not a son of God? Why should he fear that which comes to pass for those of men? Should kinship with Caesar or any other of the great of Rome be enough to hedge men around with safety and consideration without a thought of apprehension, while to have God for our maker, father, and kinsman, shall not this set us free from all sorrows and fear? We're getting some do not be afraid. What is that? The parable of the sower and the seed? Not sower and the seed, the parable of the birds in the field and the grass. Like, hey, if all this is taken care of, and God cares for that, and he cares for you, and you're more on his level than the grass and the birds, you good, man. 17. I do not think that an old fellow like me need have been sitting here to try and prevent your entertaining abject notions of yourself, and talking of yourself in an abject and ignoble way, but to prevent there being, by chance, among you any such young men as, after recognizing their kindred to the gods, and their bondage in these chains of the body and its manifold necessities, should desire to cast them off as burdens too grievous to be borne, and depart to their true kindred. This is the struggle to which you, your master and teacher, were he worthy of the name, should be engaged. You would come to me and say, Epictetus, we can no longer endure being chained to this wretched body, giving it food and drink and rest and purification, and for its sake forced to be subservient to this man and that? Are not these things indifferent and nothing to us? Is it not true that death is no evil? Are we not in a manner kinsmen of gods, and have we not come from them? Let us depart thither whence we came, and be freed from these chains that confine and press us down. Here are thieves and robbers and tribunals, and they that call us tyrants, who deem that they have after a fashion power over us. Because of the miserable body and what appertains to it, let us show them that they have power over none. On some extent, this reminds me of some of the, I can't remember who they were, some Gnostics who believed that the body totally was not Gnostics, but heretics, early church, whatever, who believed that the human body was sinful, so we should all just like flagellate ourselves or commit suicide and be done with it. Not accurate. Um, and to this I reply, friends, what of God? When he gives the signal and releases you from the service, then depart to him. But for the present endure to dwell in the place wherein he has assigned you your post. Short indeed is the time of your habitation here, and easy to those that are thus minded. What tyrant, what robber, what tribunals have any terror for those who so esteem the body and all that belong to it as of no account? Stay, do not depart rashly from here. There you go. It's a hard knock life, but it's a good life to live, fight the good fight, etc. So, me and the dog and the chickens here, thank you for watching. Again, my name is Brady Mertens, also known as Braynoon or Bray or whatever you want to call me. If it starts with a B, I'll probably respond to it. Be polite. So this will conclude my time with you for this Thursday. I hope everyone will tune in with me again on Monday around 12:15, 12:30 for our next installment, episode 5. We'll continue, 6. We will continue reading from the philosophy of Epictetus. Go ahead and tune in, drag some other friends along. If you know other philosophy nerds who are like, yeah, Epictetus, bro, yeah, like totally, have them come over. I would love for like people to actually chime in and talk and see how everything's going. But if not, I will continue being undisturbed and just reading to my heart's content, as is maybe my purpose in life. Hop over to YouTube if you're, I guess, since no one's watching this, you're probably watching on YouTube. Hop over to Twitch and subscribe if you want to see it live. If you want to see the next renditions and just are forgetful to check my page, subscribe, set the alerts, get some bing bong coming through on your phone. Hope you guys have a good rest of your Thursday and a good weekend. And as always, be undisturbed.